Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So today we'll be talking about technical writing for engineers, how to communicate the engineering results effectively. So if you've been looking for how to improve your technical writing as an engineer, do stay tuned to this video. So we'll be talking about importance of the technical communication and communication forms, how your audience matters and the writing process, and we'll then look at some technical report examples and just go through them, what they did wrong and what they did right as well. So why is technical writing important? So as an engineer, right, you know that your work basically is solving problems that occur in the world in whatever sphere you are working in, whether as a civil engineer, chemical engineer, electrical engineer, the whole breadth, you are doing amazing work. And so, the most important thing after doing all that amazing work is that you need to transform that information and transmit it to people, other stakeholders in a way that is accurate, logical, and objective. So, whether it's your ideas or your concepts, your designs, or even a solution, you need to know how to do that in a great way, and that is why technical writing is important. So the different forms, so you can communicate in different forms. Most times when we think of technical writing, we're thinking of reports, and that is true. Most of the technical writing that we do is actually in form of some sort of document. You would usually start it on maybe Microsoft Word or the equivalent, other editing software. And so the document types that we would look at are technical reports. So for example, you might have done an analysis or a study, or just to say, or an experiment in the lab. You might have done so many different things and you decide, what, I need to report what I've done, why I've done it, what I did, what materials did I use, the analysis, the results I got, discuss those results and put that into something, that is in a good that can basically transmit that information, that is live, and so people don't have to always come to you to talk about it, and you can write it and someone else in another part of the world can pick it up, reference it and use it, and work use it for further work basically. So technical reports are in that way. Technical manuals, so for example, you might have produced a an engineering product. So the most common one that comes to mind is your phone. So your phone has a manual, or your engineering product, your TV, it tells you what you need to do or how you need to use it to be able to, um enjoy the benefits the most. So for example, you're not going to plunk your TV into, a very hot environment, or you're not going to put your phone into boiling water, though I guess some phones can do that. But anyway, not to digress, the technical manual will give you that information, and as an engineer, you want to tell whoever's using the product that you've designed how to use it. Proposals as well. So you might need to write to companies, to let them know that, we've done this amazing work. We have this track record of doing amazing work in this particular area, and that is why you should give us more work to perform for you, because we'll do it in the best manner. So you are writing a proposal, or you're bidding for funding, maybe as a researcher or whatever it is, you have to write a proposal on and put in some technical details on what you have done previously. You could also have data sheets where you put in data, you put in specifications, data sheets and specifications. Basically, you're putting in technical information on your product or your engineering process. Your standard operating procedures as well, that usually works for like maybe plants and all of that, whereby you're making sure that your operating conditions or the way that you want your plants to be operated is written in a particular way that follows the engineering process that you have done. Justification reports as well. For example, you might be writing a report to justify why you need a change to be carried out on your engineering plans. So a lot of times you think, our documents, our engineering results should be communicated in a document, but sometimes as well you might just need to put that into an email, say for example to your engineering director, or somebody high up, or to another researcher in another university. So it depends on what you're doing. Really, you might just need to have a short email, and you need to be able to communicate effectively as well. You might also need to do a presentation, so you might not so the people that you're talking to might not have the luxury of time to be able to sit down with a document and read through it. So you need to be able to present that on a Microsoft PowerPoint or equivalent software. You might also need to communicate your results through a dashboard. And in this case, what a dashboard is basically showing like metrics. So like what is shown in the picture here, you're showing metrics. So maybe in form of pie charts or bar charts, or line charts, just showing how information has progressed over a particular time period. So these are some of the forms that in which you might need to communicate your engineering results, and it's important for you to know how to do that in each way, to use each of these forms. So the first thing that you need to understand before you start writing is your audience. Your audience matters because it is very important. Once you understand your audience, it then makes it easier for you to even decide what type of communication tool you would use. So for example, I've put in just few examples of how your audience might vary across board. So for example, you might need to communicate your results to executives. So in this case, they're not looking for the technical details. They have very limited time, and they just want the high level summary of what you've done, the results, and how it affects the business. So when you're thinking about how to present your results to the executives, they are usually mostly concerned about money, or how the business is perceived, maybe the reputation of the business. So for example, you would be saying to them, I've done this, for example, safety study, and I think that the reason why we need to, include these safety valves or do an additional study, or the reason why something happened, why we had a safety incident is this, and in order to protect the reputation of the company, this and this and this, you put that in quite succinctly as well, because they do not have time. Some people might, open up emails, they see like a whole long email, and maybe they see you saying, oh, the flash fire was this, and the flame length was that. They are not bothered about that. All they want to know is, how is the reputation of the business going to be affected, and what do we need to do next, how much does it cost, and what's the cost benefit analysis, something like that. But if you're writing to your fellow engineers or fellow scientists, they want technical details for understanding. So they want to be able to take your technical details that you have presented in your report or your communication, and be able to replicate it for their understanding, maybe in another similar process, or for in order to do further work. If you're writing to operators or maintenance staff, they want those technical details as well, but they want to be able to use those technical details to take action. So for example, an operator wants to know, if I see that the pressure is getting higher than such and such bar, then I need to do something else. I need to open another valve, or I need to do this. You know what I mean? And then maintenance staff as well, they want to know, if this valve gets stuck, this is what I need to do. It could be because of this, or it could be because of that, and so I need to do this and that. So that's what they want to do. They want to be able to take action in their daily job, their daily activities. If you're writing to the members of the public, they want those details, not so technical, but they want to be educated at the end of reading a safety report. So for at the end of reading any engineering report. So for example, if I'm a member of the public and I read a safety report, I want to know maybe the reason why I had a particular type of fire was because of the composition of, I don't know, a particular the particular stream that was leaking out, or something like that. They want to be able to have those details to be able to educate themselves and to understand how it affects them in their daily lives. So the key questions are, who is your audience, and why are they reading this, and what should they do or what should they do after reading it, or what should they know afterwards. So when you understand that, then it becomes easier for you to pick what you need to do, pick the type of communication you're using and who you are writing for. So you then start a plan. You understand how. So for you to plan, you have to outline what sections you need to include in your communication. So um depending on who your audience is, you would know what sections they need to understand, they need to have in the communication. Then you decide on your method of communication. As we discussed earlier, you might decide, you know what, I don't need to write a full-blown report, I can just produce a short article, or I can, just write an email. If you're using graphics, what type of graphics are you using, and what additional information may be nice to have in your write-up? So maybe, for example, you could then, if you're writing a report, you could put those in your appendix. Or if you're writing an article to be published, say on a blog or something like that, you can put that the additional information, maybe links that you might add at the end of your article. So then the writing process begins. So you fill in all the information that is required in the report. I would say, just write, just put in all the information you need: the text, the charts or graphs, the pictures or graphics, or the engineering drawings. So just put them into the report, in the different sections that you have put in. Then when you've finished writing that, you revise. That's reading through and ensuring that it's logical, accurate, and concise. So in that case, that is when you might have to move things from one place to the other. For me, that's when I see that, maybe I've put in too much information. I've put the same information in two different sentences, and so I can either compress the sentences or see which sentence needs to go. Then I can edit afterwards. That's improving the reader experience. In this case, the reader is your user. So you understand, it's just like when it's just like maybe when you're using a service, and it doesn't quite make sense to you. So it needs to be intuitive, the way you present and the layout of your document. There has to be a logical sequence of information. So for example, you shouldn't be discussing your results before you've actually presented them, for example. Then when you're done editing and you're happy with the presentation and layout of your document, that will be the time to proofread, and that's reading the document with a fresh pair of eyes. So depending on your process, you could get like a friend to read through it. I've heard people that read print it out and read it with the following, like with a biro underneath, like line by line. Some people read it backwards, depending. There's so many ways you can do that. Proofreading is also, where you get to use your spell check as well on your computer. So just to make sure that you've caught any last bits and pieces of mistakes that could be left. So now we're going to look at different examples. So this is where I talked about user experience, or user how it looks for the reader. So you see that reading this bit of text is easier on the eyes than reading this, and that's just because it's been justified. And this is something you can do, that is justified, meaning that it looks aligned in this way. It's a form of alignment, and this is something you can do very easily in Microsoft Word. If you don't know how to use that, or you would like me to tell you more about how to use those type of things in Microsoft Word, or create a video on that, do let me know in the comment section as well. Next thing that we'll look at here is so here in this one, you can see it's a draft report that I saw online, and I just decided to take a screenshot of it, and it's an executive summary. So you can see that it's telling you about a particular plant, and what the plant is used for, and who has been requested to perform a safety study, in this case a quantitative risk assessment of the facility. So by the time you're finished reading the first paragraph, you know what this is about. So if you're looking for a hazard and a probability study, for example, for this same plant, you know that this is not the report to read. But if you're looking for LSIR, or safety metrics, then you know that you should continue reading this report. I also like the fact that they've put in here results. So it's obviously still quite a long read, but if you know that, okay, you're happy with the fact that it's for this facility and it's this type of safety study, and you want to know more, you probably don't care about all of this, and you know that you just want to move on to the results, you can come here. So you can see here as well that they've said that it is presented in a figure. So you would hope that the figure is on the next page as well. um and you can see the numbers as well, and you can check those out, see, and get whatever information that you need from that. So it also, we come here as well, and you can see the conclusions and the recommendations. Conclusions are very important because they tell you that based on the results that you've gotten, what do you think is, the outcome basically. So here, for example, it said that it's in the broadly acceptable region, or ALAP region, which means that it's telling you that the safety is it's safe using those metrics as well. Recommendations will let you know what they are telling you, what to do next, the next steps basically. So it's telling, so as a, maybe you are like a safety manager, you just go through this and you're like, okay, what do I need to do in terms of detection and isolation? Which key contributors do I need to focus on? What do I need to do concerning this particular type of scenarios? So you can quickly jump to different sections, which is good. So that's why having headings, it's a brilliant idea always. It helps you readability, and even though there's lots of information here, you can know what to skip, what to skip to based on the headlines. So here as well, this is like a table of contents. This is so important as well. You might decide, you know what, I'm going to read the introduction. I have an idea of the project already, so I'm just going to go to the rapid risk assessment, or I'm going to go to the safety management plan, or you know what, I'm going to read the introduction and the project overview, read the major accident hazards, and then go to the management plan. You can decide to jump around depending on what you want. Also, it will be good to have like a page number as well, so that you can always jump around as well. But that's, I'm sure that's part of it as well. Abbreviations are so important because sometimes we only have 26 alphabets, right? As in English, anyway. And so sometimes it's very difficult for you to know what each abbreviation means. So, for example, DM could mean direct marketing, it could be direct message, it could, and but here we know that in this report, when we read it, it's referring to demineralized. So it's important to have that, and of course, written in alphabetical order, that helps as well. So make sure that when you write your report, all the abbreviations that you use, even if they are technical specific, you don't know if somebody on the other side of the world uses that same abbreviation. So it's important for you to write it in your abbreviation list. So here as well, we now look at a picture that you need to do. So it's quite good. There are different colors have been used, and there's a legend as well here, which is quite good. You also have a um like a ruler, or metric that shows you what sort of scale has been used, which is very important as well. So you can see that it's been superimposed on it, and that helps. The figure outline, the figure name as well lets you know what it is. So if you're looking for indoor location specific individual risk contours, for example, you know that this is not what you're looking for. If you're looking for maybe specific to one type of component or the other, you know that this is not what you're looking for. But if you're looking for overall site outdoor LSIR contours, you know that this is what you're looking for. So it's important. It's also easy, as it's also like a signpost, if that makes sense. The next one here is graphs. So graphs are also quite important. Sometimes you might, want to, this is like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it shows you basically what how the cumulative frequency, you know, varies with the fatalities on a log graph. So it tells you as well, again, we have our figure is well named, which is good. We also have our um axis names, which is also very important, because without these axis names we wouldn't know what we are going against, what we're measuring it against. Next thing we'll look at is the fact that there are different, so you can look at two different metrics on the same lines, which is good. And you can show that they are different with different colors. So for example, what this is telling us is that this is below the total all the time, or most of the time. Yeah, most of the time anyway. And then it's important to have these calibrations as well, so that lets us know. So even though we don't know what this is, we can, kind of guess, because we have the calibrations, both the grid and the actual numbers. Now this is, you might also need to put a flow chart in, just to show. For example, this is showing how the safety study has been done, data gathering, and then doing the hazard identification, and then doing the frequency and consequence analysis, bringing that together to do a risk analysis and all of that. This isn't very clear, so what I would say here is that when you're doing graphs, have in mind that some people might be colorblind, or things like that, and so you need to it needs to be clear. No matter what, it needs to be clear whether it's printed out or used on a computer. So we're in the information technology age now, and so we need to be optimized for both, basically. But sometimes you might need to, you could put this in a written format, in a prose format, but this is just, as they say, picture worth 1,000 words. The next thing is your references. References are so important, to avoid plagiarism, and to avoid, and in this case as well, to show that you are following some particular standards. So you can see that this is following a UK standard, and there's some other reports or like analysis that have been done, that is, that have been referenced, and so that gives some credibility as well to the work that has been done. You would also see that this reference have numbers, so in the report, wherever they are referenced, you cite them with those numbers. So that's also quite important as well. If you'd like to know more about that, write in the comment section, or send me an email address, and send me an email, and then I would, we can talk more about that. This is another picture, and obviously this is not showing well, so this is not good, and we kind of need to guard against this in our reports, because I'm sure there's amazing information. I personally know how long it takes to do, to create this kind of picture, the data entry that goes into it, the analysis, the simulation, and all of that goes into it. But having a blurry screenshot is not good, because all that, nobody will know that I've done all that great work, and it all comes to naught in this way. This is also good. However, we don't know much about what's happening here, because there's no an it's not named, the figure is not named, so we don't know what's happening here. We can't really see whatever has been labeled here. We don't know why this is yellow, but then this is red, and some are green as well. So it would be good for us to have a bit more information on that. So wrapping it all up, I hope in this video you've seen that technical communication is so important. When you do amazing work, you need to show how amazing your work is and by presenting it in an amazing manner. So of course, the first thing is for you to determine your audience, and then that would help you in choosing your form of communication. Remember, if you send a long document to a busy executive, he's probably not going to read it. You're better off writing an email, and then if he or she decides to ask for more information, then you can send your long report. Plan and then go through the writing process, and then pay attention to the details to improve your reader's experience, to make sure that all that amazing and amazing innovative work that you've done doesn't go to waste, rather. So if you have any questions or any feedback, please get in touch. That's my email. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, I would see you in the next video.